You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Locked On crossover edition between Locked On Auburn and Locked On Sooners. Zac Blackerby, John Williams, Locked On Sooners. I guess I'm happy Auburn doesn't play Oklahoma this year.
It's been fun for us the last couple of years.
It's been crushing.
Yeah.
It's been absolutely crushing.
We've gotten to really see the benefit of having a defensive-minded head coach against Auburn's offenses and Hugh Freeze each of the last couple of years. But it could be a whole nother story the next time these two lock up.
Yes. Definitely assume we will be more competent. But I do think the Auburn-Oklahoma games have been kind of symbolic for Auburn because it's kind of representative of how the Hugh Freeze era was, where it was just like so close, which, you know, he let us know that Auburn was close. And Auburn fans didn't like it, rightfully so. And then just something would happen. Or like you have a drive at the end of the game where it's just like, okay, yeah, it's possible, but probably not going to happen.
Right.
Or, you know, going back another year, like you've got the game and then just a pick six for throwing a pass that was like made no sense to throw.
Like having that even as an RPO in that moment, I think is, again, like you said, symbolic. And then just not being able to block anybody last year and protect Jackson Arnold. I think if you are Hugh Freeze and you're known for offense and can't find a play or protection, it probably spells the end of your time at Auburn. But
because it wasn't a Jimmy's and Joe's thing. Like Cam Coleman was electric in that game.
Yeah,
and he
great.
Probably should have had 2 more touchdowns if Jackson, you know, got it to him, which just shows like, just they couldn't when it came down to like what it took to play good football and execute, they just couldn't do it. So I do think those 2 Oklahoma games kind of define the Hugh Freeze era.
You're welcome, Auburn fans.
I guess. No, I do not accept that.
Well, you know, sometimes there's a disconnect, and you know, a guy might be a good coach. He's just not in the right. Like it's not a good fit.
That is in theory possible. I don't know if that's what's happening here, but it is.
I can say solid coach, just not in the right fit. You know, and it sounds like and looks like Alex Golesh is a good fit for what Auburn's trying to do.
Yeah, right. So let me ask you this, John, because I've kind of compared. It's not a perfect comparison, but when Mateer went to Oklahoma last offseason, followed his offensive coaches, there was so much buzz, so much excitement. And like you see that for what's happening at y'all's, I guess y'all are rivals still with Oklahoma State, you know, all the North Texas folks going to Oklahoma State. You're seeing some of that buzz.
Yeah.
You don't see that with Byrum following Golesh.
Yeah.
What do you think the biggest difference is? Why do you think that's not happening?
I think some of it is people, I don't want to say hedging, but being a little bit more cautious with their projections for guys making that jump into the SEC. Because I don't want to say overhyped Mateer, but there was a lot of hype and a lot of buzz surrounding John Mateer, and he was really good those first 4 games.
Then he got hurt, right?
He got hurt.
Yeah.
I think going from North Texas to the Big 12, it's a different level of competition than going from USF to the SEC and the defenses that he'll have to play. Yeah, even though Mateer was hurt, he'll even tell you that just the level of competition was just so much greater and the speed of the game was so much faster. And I think and you saw it on his film, that he didn't necessarily have the same escapability and rushing ability. He was really good.
Yeah.
But running away from guys in the Pac-12 or as an independent with Washington State versus running away from SEC defensive linemen, that's a very different ball game. So I think it's also speaks a little bit to the depth of the quarterback situation in the SEC right now. There's just a lot of really good quarterbacks.
There are a ton of good quarterbacks.
And Byrum could be one of those guys, but do you rank him above quarterbacks that you've seen play SEC football at this point, or at least Power 4 football in Sam Levitt's case?
Yeah, I see him at 8 a lot lately. And so, like, the guys that I think there's an argument above him is Lenora Sellers. It's like, would you rather have the upside of Byrum right now or what Lenora Sellers is? And I think there's a strong argument for both cases. I saw a list last week where Camario Taylor at Mississippi State was ahead of him. I'm with you.
I like Taylor. That's just a bit rich for me just yet.
Yeah, I'm with you. And then, I still think the Sam Leavitt thing is wild to me. But if Lane Kiffin's going to get the benefit of the doubt for, you being Lane's quarterback,
right.
I guess that's. But if Byrum had gone to LSU, the hype around him would be
insane.
It'd be insane.
Yeah,
it would be.
It would be. And I'm a little bit cautious on Sam Leavitt. And the way I see the quarterback rankings in the SEC right now is you have two pretty solid tiers. And in my first tier, I've got Trinidad and Gunnar Stockton. In my second tier, you've got like 6 quarterbacks that you could rank in any order 3 through 8.
So that's going to be Arch.
Yeah.
That's going to be Marcel.
Yeah.
That's going to be
Mateer, Leavitt, Lenoris.
You have Leavitt and Lenoris
and Byrum. I'd throw Byrum into that tier, probably a little bit at the back end of it, but I think the potential is there. He's got big boom potential.
Yeah, for sure. And I've made the case, like when we're talking about like record predictions for Auburn, I've made the case like the 7-5 like logically makes sense, because I think that's like what the most common thing is for it. But like, does it because I think it's either going to work or it's not.
Yeah. Well, and that's the all-in approach from a lot of these coaches that are making the jump from the group of 6 to the Power 4. Like, hey, we know our guys, and it worked for Cignetti, right? He went from James Madison to Indiana,
right?
And it paid off big. Golesh, Ryan Silverfield, John Summerall, I don't think took as many of his guys from Tulane to Florida, but they're just hoping that, hey, this approach where we can take our guys that know our system, that know us, know our culture, know what we're expecting, that we can translate that to a higher level of competition. And I mean, there's a recipe for that, and it's proven successful. Can these other guys find that same lightning in a bottle? That's going to be the big question.
What else should we expect this season? We'll get into all of that from the Auburn and Oklahoma point of view in just a moment, right here on this crossover edition of Locked on Auburn and Locked on Sooners. Today's show brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Win totals are always fun. Auburn's got 6.5. They're at 6.5 according to FanDuel. I'm taking the over there. Yep. What's Oklahoma's number?
We're at 7.5, which is still feels really low to me, but
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I think with that defense that you guys are going to bring, I would probably take the over on that too.
Yeah,
I haven't
smashing that.
Yeah, I haven't stared at y'all's schedule because we don't play y'all, but yeah, no, that totally makes the fact that y'all are only 1 game higher than us doesn't feel right.
It speaks to the strength of schedule that Oklahoma's dealing with, but my contention is their offense is so much better than what it was a year ago that it'll make up the difference in the difficulty.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Head over to FanDuel.com today to get started. FanDuel.com/lockedon. That is FanDuel.com/lockedon. LOCKEDON. FanDuel.com/.
There are more live events than ever worth seeing right now. Games, concerts, comedy shows, festivals. The hard part usually isn't deciding what you want to attend. It's actually getting the tickets. Between long wait times, confusing checkout processes, and surprise fees, buying tickets can sometimes feel harder than it should. That's why so many fans are turning to Game Time. The app is built to make buying tickets simple with upfront pricing, seat views before you buy, and exclusive saving opportunities that help get you the tickets you want without the usual hassle. That's what I found whenever I went to Game Time looking for UTEP tickets for my wife and the kids, trying to get the kids to their first Oklahoma game. And it was so simple to get on Game Time and go see what tickets were available. A lot of great prices. You can sort it by location. You can sort it by price. You can sort it by how many seats you're wanting to get together. They've got so many features inside the app that you got to check out. And one of my favorite things is the seat view. I know exactly what I'm going to be looking at when I'm inside the app, and I don't have to guess what my line of sight is going to be or what the weird angle is going to look like. I'll know what I'm getting before I buy. And you can take the guesswork out of buying tickets to every type of event with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, but again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today.
Thank you so much for making Locked on Auburn or Locked on Sooners your first listen every single day. For your second listen, go check out the other show. We'd love to have you over there. So as far as expectations this year, is it still playoff or bust for Oklahoma, do you think? Yeah.
And I think myself and my co-host Jay, we're kind of coming to this reality that we should actually have higher expectations for this team. This team is a contender in our minds. They've got a defense that's going to be one of the best in college football.
Right.
They've got an offense that's going to be better than what it was last year, when it was good at times and it had strong moments in big games.
Yeah.
It just unfortunately came up short in that Alabama game, and special teams came up short as well in the playoff. But they've got the recipe to be a national title contender. It's, can they win those big games? Can they go on the road and beat Georgia? Can they win the Red River Showdown? They've got Texas A&M at home. They've got Ole Miss at home. So the schedule is difficult. It's going to come down to a few possessions, but a few possessions could be the difference of, making the playoff just barely, or going on a run and making it to the national title game.
Yeah. I think on the Auburn side of this, a lot of the discussion is, all right, is there a path to 8?
Yeah.
And obviously anything you take, like any Auburn fan would take anything over 8 at this point with this, the spot where the program's at. Like, can you get to 8? And I think it's possible, but you need a lot of stuff to go your way. You need Byrum to pop. So I think from an expectation standpoint, I think a lot of Auburn fans are 7-5 or 8-4. And then you'll see some of the more excited Auburn fans say 9-3, 10-2, which I love. We need some of that.
That's right. You got to be positive.
Yeah.
Got some hope.
But your line about how the offense is going to be better for Oklahoma. It's like, you see what the defense was able to do as far as keeping Auburn in it against Oklahoma, against Texas A&M, against Georgia. I mean, the list goes on and on. If the offense is just okay in those games, Auburn has a really solid shot at winning.
Yeah.
And I feel like under Alex Golesh and getting all these guys who know the system from South Florida to come in, I do think it'll be better. Will it be like top in the SEC? I don't know, but it'll definitely be better than what it was.
Like, I don't want to sunshine pump for Auburn Tiger fans here.
No,
but
let's do it.
I can see 5-0
to start
the
off.
season.
Yeah, Florida and Tennessee.
Yeah, I mean, the Tennessee game is going to be tough, but Josh Heupel breaking in a new quarterback for the 5th year in a row, and a guy that hasn't really played any football. The difference between what they had last year was an experienced Joey Aguilar taking over and taking the reins. Well, this year it's George McIntyre, maybe, or Faison Brandon, one of those guys.
Freshman, regardless.
Yeah, they're going to be in a big game, and they'll have played Texas in Knoxville the week before they play Auburn. So what's that going to look like for them? How are they going to be feeling coming out of that game?
Yeah.
Could be a little shell-shocked maybe if it's a young quarterback facing their first really significant test on defense and then having to play the Tigers
I hope so.
the week after. So, I mean, 5-0 start is not out of the realm of possibility, but then it's at Georgia, at, then LSU, at Ole Miss. That 3-game stretch is rough. Can you steal one of those? Maybe. I mean, if the defense is good enough to keep them close and Byrum can make a throw or two late in the game, then who knows? But I don't think 7-5. I can see a path to 8 if you can. I mean, if you start 5-0 and then you get Arkansas, Mississippi State, Samford, that's 8 right there. Like, there's a path.
There is a path from your mouth to God's
ears. And if you beat Tennessee and Knoxville before that bye week, y'all will be buzzing.
It'll be insane.
Getting ready to go to Athens.
It'll be the best 2 weeks in show history. That's for sure. That's for sure.
But it's a signature win, and it gets Golesh really started on the right foot, and then that's going to be huge for your recruiting.
Tennessee folks love Golesh for what he did under Heupel, in 21 and 22, and the Knoxville side of it, they're, for some reason, people are ready to run Heupel out of town, which feels a little ridiculous to me, but that narrative would be fed dramatically if he went in there and then Heupel lost to his former offensive coordinator.
Right.
That would be crazy.
Well, it's expectations, right? Tennessee, fans have high expectations for that athletics, and they want national championships just like everybody else does, and missing the playoff and having some of the quarterback situations that haven't worked out, the Nico Yamaleava stuff. I think, I don't want to say Josh is on the hot seat. I think he's on the hype seat. So I think you can still believe in Josh Heupel. It's just, it's gonna be an interesting year for them because, again, breaking in a young, inexperienced quarterback is gonna be tough.
No question. For all the Auburn folks watching, how can they check out everything you've got going on?
Yeah, go to Locked On Sooners wherever you download and listen to podcasts. Also on YouTube. You can also follow us at Locked On Sooners on all your social media platforms. And you can read my work covering the Sooners over at SoonersWire.com.
Yeah, for all the Oklahoma folks watching, same place you find Locked On Sooners, you can find Locked On Auburn. Until next time, this has been a crossover edition of Locked On Auburn and Locked On Sooners.